Are the northern lights proof of God's throne? The Bible says in Revelation, around God's throne was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. Right, so we look at the color of an emerald. It's the same color as the northern lights. I mean, just look at that. It's so beautiful. And it makes sense that this happens at the North Pole. Right, if we look in Psalm 48, the city of our God and the mountain of his holiness, which is Mount Zion, beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, right? The city of our God. On the sides of the north. So the city of God is literally in the north. And if we look in the flat earth map, the middle of the earth is literally the North Pole. So this is an ancient map from the 1500s of the North Pole. They literally have Mount Zion in the middle there, which is the mountain of God in the north. Which means the North Pole would be in the very center of the flat earth right here. And which means what would be right above the North Pole, at the top of the firmament, would be God's throne right there. So if there's an emerald rainbow around God's throne, and God's throne is above the North Pole, it makes perfect sense why we see the northern lights in the north. You guys really think it comes from a solar storm? Where small particles can travel down the magnetic field lines at the north and south poles into the earth? That's a bunch of baloney, dude. Northern lights are the glory of God's throne. It's absolutely beautiful. So we've all been told there's no land at the North Pole. But if we look at a live wind finder view, we can see in the center of the earth there is something large diverting the wind. What is this, you may ask? Well, I'm about to show you. Just go ahead and type in on Google, old map of the North Pole, and all these old maps will come up from the 1500s. And here's what they look like. Look right here, made in 1595. Earth map North Pole. And if we look in the center of the map here, we have what is called the Rupes Nigra. Rupes Nigra was believed to be a huge magnetic rock located at the North Pole. This is why all the compasses point north. The Rupes Nigra was 33 miles in size, which is literally bigger than most cities, which is why it's able to block the wind like this at the North Pole. And what does Rupes Nigra mean? It means black rock. Who's the largest investment company in the world, owning $10 trillion in assets? Oh yeah, it's BlackRock. Where do you think they got their name from? Look at all the companies they own. It's funny how all the early NASA Satelloon footage looks like this, with some big black hole in the center. Nothing to see here, guys. If you guys didn't know, this is literally the mountain that's spoken about all throughout the Bible. This is Mount Zion, which is located directly above the Garden of Eden, which is why you see these 4 rivers coming out of it. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. If we look in the book of Ezekiel, thou hast been in the Garden of Eden. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. So we know the holy mountain of God is located in the Garden of Eden. The Rupes Nigra is the holy mountain of God. Look what it says here, beautiful in elevation, which means it's very high. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion in the far north. Which is why you can literally see the very top of it poking out through the clouds. No other mountain in the world does this.